Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. The meeting will be starting shortly. While we wait, let's learn more about Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.
The acting chair of the Historic District Commission.
We have to formally vote for you because we haven't met.
We'll see if that's still the plan after tonight. But why don't we go around and introduce ourselves, starting with our newest member down here in the end.
Okay, hi, I'm Kevin Kahn.
And I'm Julie Gilman, Selectman's Rep.
And I'm Pam Chatham, I'm your clerk.
Grayson Shepherd, the acting chair.
And Gwen English, I'm a planning board rep.
All right. So it looks like we only have one piece of new business, and that is a request by DAV4 LLC for an amendment to a previously approved certificate of appropriateness for change in appearance to the existing structure located at 45 Water Street. This is case number 21-6, and the tax map parcel is number 72-35. So who do we have here to speak about this application?
Hello, my name's Robert Weidemeyer. I'm with Winter Holben out of Kittery. We're doing the architecture for David here on this. I think you guys have 11 by 17 copies maybe of this. We've got it up on the big screen. I thought we'd just kind of walk through the, as mentioned, this had gone through and been approved by you guys, or some of you guys. When was it? About 2 years ago, it looks like. Yeah, May 21st. Since then, some of the modifications that we've looked to do on the second level and the lower levels have resulted in wanting to revisit the front and rear elevations that were approved, and we wanted to bring those in and kind of show the differences that what was approved and what we'd like to do, and kind of go from there. I don't know if I can, I'm gonna have to like jump back and forth here. Yeah, I mean, we're gonna just kind of slideshow it if we can.
It's showing up forward.
It's that's the file. Thank you.
Excuse me.
Oops.
Be able to do that. I don't know if you have is that clicker?
Is that, I've got a clicker over here, but I don't know if that,
Does it click?
oh my gosh, this is fantastic. Love it.
Excellent.
Great. So as you can see, sort of we try to summarize a little bit just up on the design intent. As we mentioned, modification of that front facade. Street level, just looking to do a different canopy than what's there. In addition, the storefront windows and the entry doors into the space are looking to get reworked from what's currently there. Part of that front facade modification is a creation of a small signboard over the proposed canopy, which we'll check out here in a second. On the rear elevation, up at the very upper level, we're looking to add what we call a Juliet balcony, which essentially is just sliding doors out onto an immediate railing, which will help the living unit just get some air up in that higher level and give a nice view down to the river and whatnot. And then beyond that, just Riverside, adding a few more windows to maximize the amount of natural light we can get in there and maximize the view onto that river. And then just areas where needed, and just like the outside finishes themselves. There's areas where we've already proposed or have been proposed, like shake siding and some board and batten siding, but also the lap siding, changing it, or not changing it, but basically replacing it with in-kind wood again, just to make sure everything is nice and fresh. So this is just some historical images that we were able to find, kind of highlighting the front of 45 Water at various stages of its existence, which, as you can see, has not really changed much from what it currently is. So this is the front facade, and kind of give you an idea of what we're looking at. What's on the left is what got presented in May 2 years ago that got approved. What is on the right is what we're proposing to do. As you can see, at least in the upper 2 levels, we're basically keeping that the same. Double hung windows with operable shutters on that. But basically from that sill level of the second floor down is a rework of the storefront to mainly try to, one, give a thinner canopy that's a little bit more in tune with a classic sort of storefront canopy as opposed to this tacked on asphalt shingle lean-to. Creating or sort of highlighting a little bit some pilasters along the front to help not only frame out some windows, but also allow some nice visual interest with the, again, harkening back to panels and the classic steel storefront windows that most of these sort of downtown buildings have.
So there's no canopy now? No.
There is a canopy. The next slide we'll be able to show, but essentially, this thin little bit here is a canopy that's projecting out about 4 feet.
4 feet?
Yeah, these lines here are tension rods that are holding that up.
Is it similar to, obviously, what's on kind of the example page on the back?
Yes, exactly.
It could also be similar to proposed for the approved for the idle car.
Beyond that, you may notice you may notice the door heading to the upper units has been switched from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. That's more of a circulation item internally. And so the bottom is essentially mirrored as far as door, window. Now it's window, door. But, the design intent and the look, we feel still, it's not compromised whether the door's on the left or the right. For the rear elevation, again, the elevation on the left was the one that was approved 2 years ago. The one on the right, and you can kind of see a partial elevation of that side, which kind of shows you how far that canopy is projecting.
And I don't know if it may be easier if we go kind of front to back first. So why don't we, if anybody has any questions on the front, that may be easier before we get kind of bogged down.
Nope, that works for me.
It may just be my simple brain.
Nope, I just didn't know if it was like you
easier
present it all and go from there, or if you want to have a conversation, we can do that. Does not matter to me.
So I guess we can open it up first. Does anybody have any questions about what's been provided for the front elevation and the changes?
I just had a question on the materials on the windows and on the door. It says like an aluminum clad wood.
Yes.
Where is the aluminum?
The aluminum's on the exterior. It's for the durability portion of it.
So the front of the door is aluminum,
Yes.
and it's okay.
But it has
covers
a-
the wood
it has
inside.
a
Yeah.
color, yeah.
Then on the interior will be a wood that can be stained, and
This is-
it's sort of we understand ideally you would have like a wood system, but there's a reason why they have gone to metal. It's just the maintenance, it deteriorates over time. Aluminum clad, again, is sort of it isn't a full like aluminum storefront window system that you would see at, a mall or a Walmart or something like that. It's a somewhat smaller profile just because it's essentially a wood framed window. They just put aluminum on the exterior. Again, it's for the durability portion of it.
Mr. Khan is new to the committee, so he hasn't, or commission, so he hasn't seen some of the materials that we have. And this is something, a wood-clad window is something that we see a lot.
Okay. Thank you.
And they have stability and.
No, not a problem.
One question I have on the canopy, do you know width of the sidewalk, because I was looking at the zoning ordinance and I don't have it up in front of me, but if I'm remembering, it's 60 inches or half the distance of the sidewalk, whichever is lesser. Is that something you guys looked at? I don't know.
No, I
may be
did
misquoting
not.
that, but I think that's what the zoning ordinance said. You may, just something that I was looking at earlier. So I don't know if that's gonna affect if needs to be a little bit smaller, something like that.
What was your recollection, Jason?
I think it was half the width of the sidewalk or 60 inches, whichever is lesser, if I'm remembering correctly. I'll try and pull it up while other people ask questions. But
Half the distance of the sidewalk is definitely lesser than
Yeah.
60 inches.
yeah. So everyone else can proceed with any comments just on this particular aspect.
I would just, my only question is, had you considered retractable canopy instead of the fixed flat canopy?
Again, it was I believe it was a decision on the durability. This is just it's wood fascia with a rubberized roof it's going to be more durable. Whereas, with the canopy, with a retractable canopy, obviously canvas is going to fade and deteriorate over time. Not only that, but it just seems like half the time the retractable canopy is either always out or always retracted, and it never, it just seems like they never get used the way they were intended to be used.
The reason why I'm asking is just because of the historical photos that you've seen.
I agree. I saw those. I'm like, well, they have a retractable canopy, but it's just.
All right, so I've got it here, and I was wrong on both counts. So, it's 2/3 of the sidewalk or 6 feet from the building face, whichever is the lesser. So just putting that on your
We'll make
radar.
sure
Yeah,
that's the.
and that's
So
5,
2/3
7,
means
7.
that you've got to be 6, you said 2/3 or 6 feet?
6 feet from the building
From the
face, whichever
storefront
is the
face.
lesser.
Okay.
So that shouldn't be 2/3 is probably under 4 feet, but
Yeah, we're at 4 feet. So
Yeah.
in theory, that if the sidewalk's
you should be
6
fine.
feet,
But yeah,
we got it.
I have a question, Mr. Chair. The treatment next to the two entrance doors, they're one is has an abbreviated window, and the other one is the full height of the door.
Correct.
And was that something that was proposed initially, or is that a new, are both of those features new to this plan? And
So what was initially proposed was on the left here, so you can get a good little comparison. Essentially, anything from the second floor down, at least the initial proposal was, they didn't touch it.
Okay.
It was decided that at least so the center door on the proposed is going to be the exact same. You're going to enter into a tenant space, whether it's a bookstore or a clothing store, whatever goes in there. The door on the right with the half light opens into a stairwell up to the 2 apartment units up above, which is why we opted for sort of the half light look. Again, you're going to come in and there's going to be a small little stair vestibule where we're envisioning there's going to be people they're going to hang coats, there's going to be delivery packages, I'm sure, sitting in there. So having that half light kind of gives it a little bit of privacy and doesn't have sort of the entrance to the people's homes just directly out on the street. Which you can see, just even the existing condition right now is the same situation, where you've got the full window for the store and a half window for the
Right.
stairs.
so any more questions or clarification on the storefront on Water Street before we move to the rear of the building?
Oh, I do have one. on the existing building, of course, Travel and Nature has a sign over kind of in the center. Are you proposing any signs on this, and where would those go? Or would they be on the window, or have you not decided that? Is it
Well, I mean,
depending on-
I think some of it is just going to be a product of
Who
what
moves.
tenant gets in there.
Yeah.
If you notice up above that canopy, we have 2 signboards,
Yeah.
you know, just
Okay.
panels for, you know, they're there for signage.
Okay.
You know,
Lights will
just,
have to come back with approval for the site.
yeah.
Yep. That's-
But the thought would be that, you know, the signage would be facing there, and then if we can get like a blade or something off of the canopy for the people walking is, you know, the thought process, but like David said, we realize that we'll need to bring that in.
Having the sign board, the horizontal, that's a typical retail kind of thing to do, is, I think that's appropriate for what this use is, and it actually doesn't take away from the facade of the upper stories as much as what's currently there. I'm just curious if the signs up there will actually, well, they'll be seen from the other side of the street. So you might have hanging signs too, maybe?
Yeah, that's what we're talking about, like, sort of just little blades hanging from the canopy. So they would be perpendicular to the people walking.
But that horizontal is still appropriate for the street.
Anything else on the front?
I don't think so.
All right. Go back to the river.
Okay. Here we go at the river. So again, on the left is what was approved, and on the right is what is being proposed. And I mean, if we start from top down, you can see that in lieu of the double hung that was proposed, we're proposing a 5-foot patio or French door there with basically there's no projection outside of just it'll have the railing up against it.
The reason for that is when we first went for the approvals, the upper level was doing the attic space, but then once we started the renovations, we were expanded, and now there's living space at that level, the upper level.
And those are French doors, not
French doors, so
sliding
they'll
doors.
swing in.
Yeah.
The railings on the Juliet balcony, I'm assuming is going to be
They will.
the same as
Yep,
what's
they'll
on
match
this,
the ones that were proposed and approved 2 years ago.
So what are these balconies going to look like? Are they look solid here.
Well, no, if you look at the
This one, on
rendering.
the left, they're not. But
They're the same as what we originally proposed.
Yeah, that's just a product of how they got
drawing.
presented.
It's a product of how the
Okay.
So, I mean,
CAD
it's,
system is drawing the same skinny lines here.
you know what I have?
Do you have the original?
Can you see
I think I
the
have 2 in here.
limited horizontals going across here?
Okay, I was just wondering if we were going to have, big burn fences here.
No.
All right. Okay.
So, when you print it out on a computer, the, half, or not even half-inch, quarter-inch tension rod there looks greater than what it is. And visually, we don't show what's going on behind that, which makes it stand out more than what it actually does.
We were also considering residential for the lower level. That is now going to be commercial, so that is why we added some windows there as well, bringing that light for the commercial space.
Yeah, I mean, as you can see, every level, some additional windows have been added. So the second floor level, which is the first, this is the second set of windows from the top, we added 2 additional double hungs on either side. Then we head down to the first floor level, which is street level, and added transoms above the windows there. Again, just to get more natural light into that space. And then down below at the basement level, 2 additional double hungs on either side of those patio doors. And again, just trying to take advantage of the natural light into the space and the view out and the sound even. You know, all of these things are operable, so they can open these windows. And you know, I don't know if you've been on that area or not, but it's, you know, when the river is flowing, it's got a really nice, pleasant sound through those
And it's
rocks.
cool. It's cool, air temperature, I mean.
Absolutely. It's a really nice spot.
So I didn't have a chance to go back and look at the minutes from the original approval, but one of the conditions is that the topmost window in Riverside to be rectangularly proportioned. So I don't know if anybody can comment either on our side or you guys about
I mean, I can say
if there was any size.
the French door is
recommendation.
rectangular.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. French door, that's pretty rectangular. So I wasn't sure if there was any further discussion that I don't recall, or that wasn't in the minutes about size or recommendations on.
I think it was just to make it more linear with what was proposed, just to make it more rectangular rather than the box.
Right, it was, I remember the discussion, we just wanted to have that same longer proportion that the center of the building has on the rest of the floors.
Okay.
I don't think we gave a dimension, it's just whatever works.
It's almost surprising, in looking at this, you've got a fair amount of space underneath, in the new version, underneath the flooring of the balcony to the window, to the doors that are below it. And it almost seems like you would have had to extend the height of the roof to get a door in there with that much space. But I'm sure you've done the calculations, so you know it's going to fit.
I could
but
tell you
it looks like
that the elevation drawn on the right was from actual measuring of what's there.
Okay.
Whereas the one to the left was more,
approximate.
this is what we've got, let's just, you know. So
Okay.
the one on the right is a more accurate representation
Okay.
of the actual condition. Which is nice, because we got more room.
For I'm assuming the materials for the Juliet balcony are going to be similar to the
It'll be same railing
same.
as what's
obviously.
going on around the deck areas below. The only difference is, again, as opposed to having structure coming out and putting a fascia, we're just going to put basically a fascia trim and mount the railing right there. So there's nothing you can step out onto. It's more just a way to open that up, get more light in, get more air in.
And the doors are going to be consistent with the balcony below?
In that it'll be the same finish.
Yeah.
You know, it's the same manufacturer is supplying these, so it'll all be the same finish. The only difference is the ones below will slide and the ones above will swing in.
Do you have any exterior lighting fixtures proposed either for the back or the front?
At this time, I don't think we've discussed that.
I'm just curious. And maybe since they're
Thoughts,
not,
David?
I don't know.
I mean, as far as, are you saying like something that's going to actually be wall mounted?
Yeah.
Sort of
Yeah, I'm
type thing?
just curious.
I mean, just,
Might have some recessed lights. on the-
yeah, I was like, the way
Plugging.
this is set up, it makes more sense to hide those on the underside of those decks. And, you know, if that way you can either illuminate the deck, which is more likely what's going to happen, and then you just get some splash onto the actual rear elevation. But as of now, I don't anticipate anything.
Any further questions on this about the application?
No, I have no further questions. I really appreciate the comparable storefront photos that you've given us.
Yeah, that's basically the rest, I guess. Presentation-wise, this probably would have been handier prior to the final reveal, but
One thing I wanted
give us some
to
ideas.
just make sure I'm clear is obviously we had the 3 conditions in May of 21.
Okay.
And it looks like the only one that's actually really being affected is, I mean, and depending on how you read it, not really being affected that much is that the window on the riverside is supposed to be rectangular, which this is.
Right.
And the other 2 aren't really being touched by this
No.
application. Is that fair?
What are the other 2? Yes, Mr. Lee.
Wood shutters on Water Street side to have functional shutter hardware.
Yes.
And corner board trim on Riverside to terminate at street level.
Well, Mr. Chair, unless there are any other questions, I would move that the application is complete, or accept the application as complete.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. And now, this is where we talk about where we make our discussion
Yep.
about the, and still have questions perhaps.
Sure.
I have to say, the first time I looked at this rear elevation, I thought, that's a lot of glass. Yeah, it's a lot of holes in the building. But I don't really have any reservations about it. I know that it's done proportionally well. And the back of the building is only seen from across the river and from inside the units. It is kind of, it is a lot of opening, you know, the proportion of the opening to the solid is very different. I don't think that it's inappropriate, given what we already gave you as an approval. And it kind of mirrors the front with the transoms on that first floor? I get lost in that, yeah, first
Yes.
floor.
Where the transoms are shown on the back are the same level
Yeah.
as on the front of the transoms.
And again, you won't see both the front and the rear at the same time, and it's very hard to even see the side, so. Using all the same materials and kind of just adding on to it,
Yes, that's the intention.
yeah, yeah. It may, actually, for me, the revised elevation, even with all those openings, seems more engaging than the original one was. I don't know if that means appropriate or not, but it's engaging.
Once we got in there, we realized how dark it was, because you got the, you look in the serendipities and stuff.
Any other comments about the rear elevation? No. I think I'll echo Julie. I think that, it's, given what we've already approved, it's largely the same. Obviously, there's a few tweaks, and it's a really rectangular top window. I like that. Or I guess now it's a door, but, I think it's, I personally, I prefer the new elevation to what was approved back in May, so I appreciate that. Thank you, guys. Anyone else?
I think it looks lovely. Okay.
Anything on the front?
No, I think I've said what I think of the front, but it's the first floor is retail, and you have to make some compromise, I guess, between what was always retail on the first floor, I believe, but in an older wooden house-looking building. Are you going to comment on this? Okay.
I was going to ask for public comment when we were all set.
When we're all set.
Well, call for public comment.
My name's Amanda Kelly, 24 Prospect Street, if we still do that. And I think that your project is beautiful. You guys did a great job. I think all the I never knew what the beginning looked like, and your improvements that I sat through look great. So I just want to offer that. And I mostly came tonight to just say thank you for including the sloped entry. It's really huge that you're changing that from a step up to a sloped entry. And if there were any comments on it, I was just here to support that because it's really good. And I hope that more buildings continue to do that. And I'm glad there weren't any negative comments about it. And it's something that everyone is on board with. And that's great. That's all I was here for. So nice job. Appreciate it.
No, it's actually rather necessary, and
Oh, it is.
and if you're going to do retail, you want people to be able to come in and enjoy it. Had you thought of doing, no, the entrance door to the residence isn't recessed, right?
It's slightly recessed about a foot, as opposed to the entry into the tenant space, first floor. Commercial space is recessed about, we have 4 or 5 feet, I think.
Yeah, okay.
So there's actually, it's hard to see, but there's a very slight taper from
Yeah.
front to the back, and there's windows along that.
Your typical storefront that you see on the rest of Water Street.
Yeah. It's,
There's no step up into it.
we tried to do that on purpose.
I know, there's a place down at the other end of the street that some people can't go to because they're in walkers and or wheelchairs, and they need to see what's in there. But yeah, I appreciate that also.
One thing I'll ask about the canopy is, so obviously we have the example here. Is it going to be the black on the sides with the wood underneath, or is it, I know we can't technically comment about color, but just material-wise, I just want to make sure that if this is what I'm looking at, that it's going to be consistent with, what I'm seeing as the other storefronts here.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Oh, I see what you're saying on the one example there. I mean, as far as the fascia finish, wood there. Yeah. So like, I believe the underside with.
Oh, actually, yeah, can you speak into the microphone? Sorry about that.
No.
I should have caught that.
For
No
all
worries.
our viewers at home.
So the picture that we're talking about, I believe, is the bottom center one?
Yeah.
Yeah. So, like the finish down below on that was more what we're looking for. That's the natural finished wood, beadboard more than likely, or something similar to that. It could be a nickel gap or something. Yeah. But as far as like the fascia finish, at least again, I would envision that being something that's going to be sort of complementary of how the storefront gets finished. You saw the pilasters and the panels down below are similar to what's going on the right. So you have an opportunity to introduce multiple colors, which in theory, you could carry up onto that canopy piece where maybe the fascia is a lighter color and the gravel stop is going to be a darker color, or maybe it's all just a consistent one, but it's going to be something that's complementary to what's going on with the main facade.
Yeah.
Very good.
Color's a little bit outside of our purview, but just thought I'd ask the question.
It's going to be pretty.
Yeah.
Green, is that what you said?
This is going to be pretty.
I have one
Yeah.
question, and this is not a critical comment or question, but I'm just in looking at the rear elevation. Each level has different features, and I would just be interested to hear how you came up with, like the door designs on the second level are different from the first level, and the window treatments are different. And I'm just curious how that evolved for you as an architect.
Well, okay, so some of it is just a result of, like, the lowest level is, you don't even see it from the street.
Got that.
So access to that's going to be sort of via an alley.
Yep.
So to kind of set that off, I mean, because it's set off now, except it's just stone and concrete that you see. So we're trying to get that a little softer, a little more inviting. So we wanted to go with wood, but again, to give it sort of a set off foundation feel, we went with more of a board and batten sort of approach on that. The shakes on just the rear elevation, I believe, is a pull from what was there. I do believe the back of the original was cedar shake, so that was just a callback to that. As far as why do we do swing doors on the first level and patios on the second level or the lower level, some of that was a result of potential tenants looking into utilizing these spaces and sort of their wants, and they've kind of carried over just because they may still want it. So, some of it is allowing, I mean, like, again, if you think of some sort of merchant on the first floor, we have windows up high in the center portion, which then, well, again, if it's a merchant, it allows you to place sort of low displays and still have this view and everything. But if it's a coffee shop or something like that, it's also sort of set up where you can have sort of a low bar there at the windows, and the windows are sliders that can open. And so you can be inside, outside, but then you still have that circulation around that to allow people out onto that deck if it's, something along those lines.
Street level height is quite a bit more headroom, taller than the...
Yes, exactly, which is why they've got the transoms there, which again is also why they have them on the front. And then, on the second level, it's the result of, here's the kitchen, here's the sink. Let's get a window for the person with the sink. Okay, well, now we've got a window here. We want to have this balance so visually it looks correct. So on the other side's living area, and they're high enough that you could put a chair under it, and it's not that.
The lowest level on the river side?
Yes.
Or at the river, I should say. Are you anticipating that to be retail?
Yes. We have that common alleyway with the Ioka, which is going to be the...
We're going to have to bridge the river in order to get it accessible.
Well,
Sorry.
the Ioka sort of triggers commercial traffic.
Are the layouts for second and third floor interiors basically the same? For this?
They were.
No, how they're, like, what they're going
To
to,
each other.
yeah, same as like, are the kitchens and the bedrooms and dining area the same on the second floor as they are on the third floor? I'm assuming those are two different units.
The third floor is a residential. There used to be 3 small apartments there, and it's now going to be a front and a rear apartment.
Oh.
The upper level, and the street level is essentially like it was with Tribal Nature, is one open span retail level, and the basement will be partially, it's not 3/4 because there's storage space for the retail store in the basement as well.
Oh.
Smaller commercial space in the basement.
Oh, yes, okay. I apologize for my question, because I'm thinking and looking at this, that looking at the rear elevation, that the first floor is the,
Yeah.
and I'm wrong. I forgot that
You've gotten to look at it for 30 minutes, and we've been looking at it for a few months.
I forgot that the basement was there. I've never been in the basement. Yes, I have, actually, but, okay, my apology. So, thank you.
It's appropriate to have the treatment of what is retail space as opposed to the residential area, treated differently.
Right, oh, absolutely, absolutely. Okay. Took me a minute, took me a few minutes.
No problem.
Anybody else?
No, I think it's a, thank you for all the information. It's a good application with all the things we need to look at. I don't think we had a lot of questions. So I would move to approve the application as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. We appreciate your time.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
I think we have a quorum of people to vote on the minutes.
I don't think so. But since it's from March, I think we have grandfathered it.
All right, so next we have other business, election of officers. It's been a year since we've had enough people. So
Well, I will nominate.
yeah, I've never been a part of a election, so I'll let you kind of
Okay,
run the show on that one.
Yeah, typically, anybody that, excuse me, that wants to throw out somebody's
Thank
name for position.
Thank you.
Then we all vote. If there's more than one person nominated, then we vote on each one, and whoever gets the most.
That has never happened.
It's never happened on any board.
So Grayson, are you happy or comfortable? Okay.
I am comfortable.
Okay. Not happy. Okay.
Well, then I move to appoint Grayson Shepherd as our chair.
All right.
Second that.
All right, all in favor, I guess?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. So now looking for vice chair. Any,
I'm not sure Gwen or I can do it.
Neither one of us can.
Well, I can do it, but I'm also, so I'm the same thing you are. I'm but yeah.
That's a good observation. Well, that would leave
I'm happy to
you.
do it.
Okay. Your only responsibility is to be chair when Grayson's not here.
Yep.
And we can go over the process.
It's the best officer.
So,
Okay, then I nominate Kevin Kahn as vice chair.
second, that's wonderful.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Kevin.
And what's, any other
There's the clerk,
positions?
but
Clerk?
I want to hold off on that one only because I, under other business, have something to talk about regarding how we plan out what we do here.
Okay. All right, so we'll table the nomination and vote on a clerk until we have that other business discussed, but I guess we can, do we have enough people to approve minutes?
No,
No? Who were here, I guess?
Yeah, I would abstain on
Yeah.
that since I wasn't at the last
and nor was I.
meeting.
Yeah, oh, that's right, yeah, so, okay, well,
And given that the last meeting was in March, and this
that's
is,
90 days,
I
yeah.
think we're at our limit of just having them automatically approved.
Yeah, it's just automatically made it, so there it is.
All right, so I guess the meetings or the minutes for March 16th
Okay.
are approved by
Default.
by time. So, any other business?
Yeah, I'd like to tell you about Office of Planning and Development had their spring series of workshops, and I participated in one that for the first time they had an HDC or historic preservation track that I participated in.
Oh, how good.
And there were a lot of good suggestions about how to be cohesive and enjoy ourselves. But one of the things they recommended is that annually we go over our materials, our guidelines, and our rules of procedure and those kind of things, and also set goals. And you saw this for the Heritage Commission. I don't want to do it tonight, but this is something that we should do annually, probably in May, when after new board members or memberships turnover because of the terms. But one thing that people were asking about the most was, do you have anything in your zoning ordinance or guidelines about solar installations?
About solar? Yes, we do.
Okay.
All right, we've had that.
I know, we've approved some. Yeah, so that was one of the big topics that people wanted to know about, and I gave an example also of our applications and the work that we went through to divide up the, new construction versus something like this, which is a change in appearance, and then the projects of minimum impact. And that excited a lot of people to see. They went, "Can I copy those?" Like, yes, please. And also our guidelines, the link to our guidelines are the people there were only about 20 participants, but they were very pleased to see something comprehensive. So Exeter came out well in this, in this seminar. And I would encourage you, I think it's recorded on the OPD's website. It's the Office of Planning and Development. I don't recall if it's just OPD at nh.gov.
And that program was
It was recorded, yeah. And they had several tracks. One was for planning boards, one was for zoning boards. And you can pick and choose, amongst the different classes.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's definitely something that's useful to, because I can't remember, I don't have it in front of me when the guidelines or regs or anything like that were adopted, or when they were last reviewed, but I suspect it's been a little bit of time.
The date on it.
2016.
I gotta tell you, that's better than I thought. So that's not that bad.
Well, this is updated from 2004.
So yeah, I mean, I do think it's good. Things change rapidly. So I think if not annually, biannually or something like that, at least to get into the habit of establishing, and we could throw that into our rules, is that, annually, biannually, there's got to be some sort of review or discussion or something like that. I think that's probably helpful.
And I don't know if any of you have seen our rules of procedure. Have you actually seen them?
I don't think I have.
I think I have them. They're,
They're quite old.
yes, they are. So am I.
They're not as, the rules of procedure are not as young as you.
But yeah, I mean, I think we can, if we want to, I guess the question is, if we want to undertake that, do we wait until, like you said, like May, or do we get on a different track and try and do it this late summer or fall, or?
We might want to see what our workload is. Yeah. I mean, this is a very light night. We have had nights when we're
6 months
trying to get them out by 11. I mean,
Wow.
Well, one of the things that they recommended was just to do it as a work session and not have and work sessions are still public meetings, but we're not in any kind of rigid setup. You must, decide this time. It's really just tossing around ideas, and then we'll have a formal meeting where we adopt something if we come to that kind of decision at a work session. So, and that one, we can sit around a table downstairs instead of being at this long table.
Yeah. I think it's a good idea.
I had a question.
I'm sure you must have.
As a kind of call it a new homeowner in the historic district, I kind of have vague recollection at our closing that there was a slip of paper that said you recognize that the home is part of in the historic district, but I'm not sure that that's the case. Is there a procedure?
It's supposed to go to all the realtors. And so that when someone does, so people know that when they are buying that there are strings attached.
Yeah, I would just say if the first time that people are notified is at the closing,
that's not
we might want to do something to trigger it earlier. Usually, I know on the real estate sites, it'll tell you if there's a HOA involved, and if we can do something similar on the listing so that they know that the first time that they see that isn't at their closing, I think would be beneficial for new buyers.
Oh, yes.
Well, and that's one of the things that I might want to put on as a goal is to organize a gathering of realtors so that they reference people to our guidelines, at the time they're showing the place. And tell them you're in a historic district, because that truly is the worst time to
Yep.
be told.
Yeah, you don't want to be sitting there and find that out as you're signing your mortgage.
And I also would like to do something with builders, just so that their choice isn't automatically to replace windows, but maybe they can look at refurbishing or restoring the original windows, because that's often what we get is we want to replace our windows, energy efficiency and such, but there's a document actually on our website about our webpage about the energy. It's kind of an energy myth of replacing old windows, or the original windows of an old home, which are made with a denser wood, and if you have storm windows on it, it's pretty much the same as these new windows that are double glazed, and but they don't move with the building, and they don't, you're taking some character away when you change it. So it would be nice to emphasize that in these historic districts, we really like to, it's more appropriate to refurbish. And there are a lot of materials out now that, people complain about them rattling, or they want to insulate, like where the sash weights are, if you have a house that has those kind of windows. But I went to a window workshop, and one of the products is these bronze strips that are kind of springy. And so when you put them, when they're attached to the frame, they keep the sash tight, and they open easier, and you don't get that movement, and it makes it more weather tight. And then another thing is to actually have the hardware on your old windows, the locks that I thought were for safety of, keeping people out of your house, but they're actually to keep the top and bottom sash tight. So I was walking around my house with a person that does window restoration, and she was looking at, this one has one, but that one doesn't. Like right next door, windows right next to each other. So they're like randomly locks on my windows and randomly not. So it's that kind
It'd be
of,
great to get that information out to builders and homeowners, and if it could be somewhere, even on a...
well, I have a realtor friend, well, I have several realtor friends, but to get like their main organization to be able to reach everybody that's in the area, as opposed to just, I know that one and I know that one, and can you come together for something?
Yeah.
So you're getting windows done on the sidebar?
We're going to get new storm windows first.
Storms.
That's the recommendation, is to really seal up the outside before you start working on the inside.
Okay.
So that's the next expenditure in
Your home.
some year.
To pick your brain on.
But what's nice now is the new storm windows have a lower profile, excuse me, and they come in colors, so you can take away those old white ones and have a nice bronze color that, in my case, would just blend in with the trim color, so that they come some way.
Okay.
UV protected, glazing, and it's good.
Cool.
All right, so I guess any other business for tonight? We can, I guess at our next meeting, we can figure out how we want to, everyone can come with different ideas on how to approach contacting the builders and realtors. And if we wanted to schedule a working session, or kind of how we wanted to do either the timing or the structure of the review, I think that'd be a good idea.
Okay.
That sounds good to me.
Yeah.
Good?
I think the realtors have a association. I have no idea about the builders.
I'm sure that
No, there is
there's a builder, I know there's a builders association in
Okay.
New Hampshire. I don't know about Seacoast, but.
There's
I'm
a
sure they-
statewide one
Yeah.
at least, yeah. In
Yeah,
fact, I think they were at the State House today, and I couldn't go visit them because my lunch was taken up with another thing, but.
All right.
All right.
Okay.
Anything else?
No?
To adjourn?
Second.
We are adjourned.
Yay!
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast channels 98 and 22. Channel 98 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 13, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report, with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.